Ever wondered what would happen if the chaos of mechs, alien planets, and anime-inspired storytelling all collided again after the first Daemon X Machina? You might be curious, does Titanic Scion live up to that name? Is it better than the original? Does it still have that mechanical soul? Or has it gone completely hollow? I had the same questions before I jumped into this one, and after about 18 hours of flying, fighting, customizing, and crashing a few too many times, I have a fair bit to say about it in this detailed review, but overall, my verdict still remains the same as my previous quick review video, so let's break it all down together. The first thing that caught my attention was the world itself. The game now features an open world environment, something that sounds exciting on paper and initially it feels impressive to have that level of freedom, but it quickly becomes clear that the world, while vast, is not very alive. You can fly across deserts, mountains, and alien zones, yet most of it feels empty and repetitive. The freedom is there, but the fun part of exploring it is often not there. I found myself enjoying the open landscapes only when I was gliding or boosting at high speed. It gives that little rush, almost like an anthem, but once you land, the sense of wonder fades. The visuals do look sharper and slightly more mature this time around, especially the character designs. The art direction feels like it has grown up with its audience and it fits well with the story's more serious tone. Unfortunately, while the world is big, it is also quite bland to look at in many parts and frequently does feel very outdated, and that hurts the experience more than it should. The performance, on the other hand, sits in a strange middle ground. I played the PC version on the highest settings without DLSS, and for the most part, it looked great. However, the frame drops do happen more often than I would have liked, sometimes even during small battles where the game has no reason to stutter. It is not unplayable by any means, but when you are in the middle of a fight and your frames dip right as you are dodging or switching weapons, it can really get on your nerves. The sound design at least helps balance it out a bit. The explosions, the slicing effects, and the mechanical sounds have a solid punch to them, and the music keeps the energy going. It is fine enough to keep you in the moment even when the visuals struggle a little. Let's talk about combat. The core gameplay has not changed much since the last game. You still fly, dash, shoot, and slice your way through enemies. And yes, you can dual wield just about anything. Guns, swords, shields, you name it. You can even switch stances or loadouts mid-battle if you have multiple weapons equipped, which adds a nice layer of tactical choice. That part is genuinely fun, and sometimes the fights do deliver those little moments of adrenaline where you feel like a complete mech pilot god. Then other times the combat feels clunky and unresponsive, as if your inputs are slightly off from the chaos on screen. It is not entirely fluid, and that lack of precision holds it back from being as satisfying as it could have been. Now, one of the biggest changes this time around is that there are no giant mechs to pilot. You are wearing a mechanical suit called Arsenal, and while it does look cool and gives you a lot of customization options, I did miss that huge mech feeling. The Arsenal can be equipped with a wide variety of weapons and armor parts, and later in the game you even unlock a heavy armor variant. The catch is that you can only recolor it, you cannot really customize it beyond that, which feels like a wasted opportunity. The customization for the main character also feels a bit limited. You can change clothes and colors, but you are basically wearing NPC outfits. There is no deeper personalization to make your character stand out. That said, the game redeems itself slightly with its fusion and mutation system, where you can mix parts and materials to gain special powers. It adds some interesting variety to the gameplay, but I wish it allowed preview before committing to a fusion. Once you apply it, there is no going back unless you reload an earlier save, and that is frustrating for anyone who likes to plan their builds carefully. That being said, I still love the mutation and ability unlocks from its previous game. The story in Titanic Scion is better this time. I would say it starts off slow, and for a while I thought it would remain flat and predictable, but it actually gets a bit more interesting later on. The tone is darker, the character interactions are more mature, and the world feels like it has higher stakes. Still, it is not extraordinary. You get invested enough to see where it goes, but it never really blows your mind. The voice acting is decent too, it fits the world and the characters, but after several hours, few of the characters starts getting on your nerves with their same predictable dialogues. You will hear NPCs constantly throw preset lines at you when you walk past them, but those lines cut off the moment you move a few steps away, which makes it all sound messy and unfinished. It is like everyone wants to talk to you, but no one actually wants to finish a sentence. It would have been a lot better if they gradually decreased in volume instead of cutting sentences abruptly midway. One part that genuinely surprised me in a good way was the Coliseum. The ranked battles there are challenging, fast-paced, and filled with variety. It is one of the few moments in the game where I felt that pure fun return. Boss fights also stand out as unique encounters. They can be tough, but the rewards are worth it. Scavenging for loot in the open world also helps a lot, as some of the best items come from exploration rather than shops. However, I'm not a big fan of locking good gear behind story progression or mercenary ranks. It would have been made more sense to at least let players see what is available, but restrict purchasing based on rank. Traversal in the game feels good most of the time, especially flying at high speed, but running and boosting separately slows down the overall movement flow. It would have been better if both actions could be combined for smoother traversal, though some auxiliary add-ons for the arsenal do help in improving flying speeds. Vehicle driving is also a nice touch, particularly the motorbike that can turn into a turret, which is just a cool design decision. I also enjoyed being able to ride alien horses. It is a small addition, but in my playthrough, I simply avoided them all because they didn't really improve anything much and mostly felt clunky or waste of time. If you are planning to play the game, a few tips will make your experience smoother. Always keep your VP replenishing items maxed out because you will need them more often than you expect. Do not sell too many of your older weapons or armor pieces. Some side missions specifically require certain types of equipment to complete objectives. Keep scavenging for loot in the world because it provides much better parts than shops. Upgrading shops regularly unlocks stronger items, so keep some scraps saved even if you think you have upgraded everything already. The game keeps introducing more as you go deeper into the story. After all that, I would say this. Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion is not a bad game, but it is also not a particularly great one. It sits in this odd space where you have to find your own fun inside it. The game gives you tools to experiment, to customize, to tweak and adjust your arsenal, but it will not hand you excitement on a platter. You have to dig it out yourself. If you are a fan of science fiction, mech action, you will probably find enough to keep you going, especially in co-op with a friend. But if you are looking for a game that grips you instantly and keeps you entertained all the way through, this one might feel lifeless and repetitive after a while. To this extent, and as per my review calculator, Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion gets a breakdown score of about 66%. That is my experience with it so far. I am glad I played it, but I cannot strongly recommend it unless you are already into this style of gameplay. Anyway, that wraps up my review for Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion. If you have made it this far, thank you for sticking around and spending your time with me. I hope this helped you decide whether the game is for you or not. Take care of yourselves and I'll catch you in the next one. And that is it for today's video. I am really thankful to you for watching the video and hanging out here on my channel. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. There is a lot more coming your way. Stay tuned, take care, and as always, keep gaming. See you next time.